So when it comes to Matt Rhule, all right, this is an individual who I'm going to read the quote here at the press conference, and I quote: "My history has been to be 6-6 in the second year and get to a bowl game, then in the third year make a jump." End quote. Now, a little bit later on the press conference, he said, "And we're going to make that jump." Paraphrasing, but when he said that, I like the confidence. It is what he's done everywhere he's gone. His first year was a little bit different, so does that throw off the whole calibration of year 1 to 2 to 3? Because if you add the amount of wins he had at Temple and Baylor together in year 1, it was 3. We had 5 here. I don't know. Does this all calibrate? I don't know, but we'll see. Because to me, and I've talked about this before, and I'm kind of responding to a lot of people who've texted me when they ask me, and I'm going to do some transfer portal updates here in about 2 minutes. People have asked me, do you trust Matt Rhule? So I'm going to reiterate a couple things I've said and divulge a couple of new things. I trust him as much as any coach we've had for a very long time to leave no stone unturned, to do everything he possibly can, to think outside of the box, to put ego aside, to do what he believes is best for the program, to not, I'm just going to be blunt, to not be arrogant, to not be sensitive, to not be emotional, although it's hard not to get emotions involved when you're passionate, to not get offended, although that's hard, but he's not going to let that influence him on a professional level. I trust him to do those things to the best of his ability as you can reasonably expect from any person. It's tough at Nebraska. Fans are passionate. I love it. I freaking love it. When people respond to me on social media, I'd say eight times out of 10, it's positive. 2 times out of 10, maybe not so much. I don't take it personal. It's not like when X and Facebook first started and one bad tweet or post would ruin my entire day. And my wife laughed at me. She thought it was hilarious. But I digress. My point is simply this. Like it's part of having a passionate fan base, because I'd rather have that. And I've referenced this. It's not the only time. You could watch USC, UCLA, their big rivalry game. That stadium was 33% empty. USC versus Penn State, it was 25% empty. Like I would rather have passionate fans who are selling out, whether it's Timbuktu U or Ohio State coming into Memorial Stadium. With that comes a lot of scrutiny. And that's part of the job. And I believe Matt Rhule is as well suited as any coach we've had in a long time to deal with it. I have confidence in that. Does that equate to wins? I personally, Scott Frost at UCF, wish him nothing but the best. I know some people are like, I want him to do well. Some people are like, well, if he does well, but not here, how's that look for us? You know, it's a bit of a conflict there. I get it. Teach their own. Okay. But to me, when I look at Matt Rhule, what I believe he can do is what he's willing to do, is what a lot of coaches haven't been willing to do, is put all that stuff aside, deal with it, embrace it, and do what's best for the program. But I thought Scott Frost, in front of the microphone, hurt himself several times with things that he said. I really did. I think Rhule is phenomenal in front of the microphone. Every once in a while, I think he's great at misdirection, and I'll point that out. I could be wrong. I could be right. Jake's heard me do it here. Okay. Sometimes Jake agrees and he nods, and other times he disagrees and he still nods, but that's okay. Jake's a good dude. Nice guy. Love working with you every day, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely.
The 2 things Matt Rhule has said that I was kind of like, I don't know. Number 1, when we're going into year 2 last summer, he said it feels like year 3. I was like, I love that. I don't think it's necessary. You're shortening your own honeymoon period, which is now gone, by the way. When you say we're going to make the year 3 leap, that's phenomenal. I don't know that it needs to be said. Just let others talk about it. But I love his confidence. Now, will this equate to wins? Do I trust Matt Rhule to equate to some wins? I'm actually excited to see what our offense can do. I'm excited to see what we could possibly get out of the transfer portal. And defensively, we have got to get the defensive coordinator hire right. I can't speak to the defense right now. I can't. I need a defensive coordinator. I need a D-line coach. I need a lot of things. Offensively, and I'm going to talk about this in the next segment. And you can bring in the chugs of red Kool-Aid if you'd like for that particular segment, but don't worry, I also talk about the holes and what I have to say then as well. But I'm like above average excited about what our offense could be. And a large part of that has to do with Dana Holgerson, Dylan Raiola, Emma Johnson, Ja'Cory Barney, things of that nature. We got to find someone who can block better, consistently, more often, and the coach has got to get it out of him. That's his job. So for me, do we trust Matt Rhule? Is anybody chiming in on the text line real quick? Because those are kind of my thoughts. I can honestly go on for a long time on this. I trust he's going to prioritize what's best for the university and the program. I trust he's going to do whatever he thinks it takes. And there are other individuals who've been in a similar position that things got thrown out of whack due to emotions getting in the way. Okay, what is anybody? What are some of the thoughts we're getting here, Jake? And then we'll dive into some transfer portal updates real quick.
Oh, yeah, I'd encourage you to go ahead and text in 402-464-5685. Redwine65 says off YouTube, if Rhule can keep the defense at the level the last 2 years it's been, Holgorsen can win a lot of these close games. So, different thoughts there on moves that have been made. But, yeah, it feels like there's still a lot of faith in Rhule.
So to be clear, I have a lot of faith and a lot of belief in what he's going to do and how he's going to do it. He's also learning. You can see he's learning. The Big Ten is different. Transfer portal is different than when he got here. NIL, everything. The purely developing the high school kid. It's hard. How's that going to work? You find a diamond in the rough. You develop him. He hits the portal, gets more money. He's gone. It's just hard. It's how Nebraska had success. It's how Matt Rhule wants to do it. It's what Husker fans love. It's one of the things I love. It's hard to do it that way. Will what he's going to do equate to exact wins? That's where I got to wait and see. That I cannot put a definitive answer on, partially because I don't know what the hell's going on with the defense yet. But we'll get there in due time. Got to get that defensive coordinator hire right. All right, any other final thoughts on that, Jake, before I hit the transfer portal here real quick?
Brad from Baldwin said he has to be it has to be the one. You can't go through another change. But as we've seen before, that's not necessarily true. 0095 says, definitely trust the process Rhule's establishing. Needs a home run hire for DC sooner than later. I will say that as far as my own personal opinion, too, is that he did go into the press conference and said he's hired 2 Broyles Award finalists for the top assistant in the nation at defensive coordinator. We're obviously impressed with what he did with Tony White. And I always say you can't get mad if what you hire ends up being what you get. And he's a program builder. And so year 3, there's going to be a lot of pressure on him. But that's what you hired. It takes a few years to get there. Then year 3 is kind of your breakout year. That's why I always thought you couldn't be too upset with the Mike Riley results, because that's kind of what you hired.
It's not kind of what it's exactly what you hired. He was exactly 500 here. He was exactly 500 before he got there. I love it, Jake. Great thoughts.